I think he's going to go Bengals again, as the facts you just said before. He's a needy
Hey, we're
quarterback team.
live.
I'm trying to take us live here. Whatever. We're not organized. We've got 5 owners on. We're being audible. We're being flexible. It's just going to be fun times here. We're going to try something new this pod. We got 5 owners. We got the Vikings, the Broncos, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Texans on. I know last week we kind of talked a little bit about some mock drafts that Panthers and I had done. What we're going to do now is live mock a draft based off of some more pro days, some more thoughts, potentially a couple more trades happening, stuff like that. We're going to do it live and get some more opinions other than just the two of ours. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
Happy to be here, as always.
Get your own line.
Happy Tuesday.
Absolutely. And again, because I'm not rewarding being on time or being early or joining early, we've set this up in reverse order of as you join the pod. So the Texans will mock the first pick, Giants the second, Eagles the third. I'm doing the fourth because I feel special, and Broncos will go last, and then we'll repeat this for all 31 picks. We're going to make the picks based off of if we're that GM's owner. We'll probably wait till next podcast to do something around the real NFL draft. But for now, we'll kind of get a few more opinions and a few more placements here and see kind of where people have these guys slotted. So more content and more draft boards for you guys. So everybody's a winner. Anyways, without further ado, Smutak, you're on the clock as the Bengals.
All right. As mentioned pre-pod, believe that Bengals are a needy quarterback team. Tannehill is not in their future plans. And I just think either he trades out and makes quite a pretty penny, or he goes with CJ Stroud.
Okay.
So CJ Stroud is the pick, I believe.
All right. So CJ Stroud. All right. And that makes the Seahawks the second pick. Pardon our lack of preparedness. We adjusted our plan here about 5 minutes before podcast because we try and give the people what they want. In this case, the people wanted more GM's mocks. So the Seahawks will go next. Giants, you'll play the role of the Seahawks here. What are you doing?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting place to be for the Seahawks. Do you want me to just make my pick, or should I talk through like some of the things?
Talk through it.
All right, so Seahawks, they desperately need a quarterback. They have pick 2. They have pick 6, I believe. They have Breece Hall on the roster. So your immediate kind of consideration here is Bijan or quarterback. And given the patience that the Seahawks have displayed to date, I'm going with Anthony Richardson.
So you're looking at the potential 101 guy you think is going to go first overall for a couple of us in the face, and you go Anthony Richardson.
Yep, I think long-term quarterback play. I think he can get a running back at 6 if that's where he wants to go. But his roster, like a running back, is not the position to invest in when you need to build for the long term. It's too short-lived of a position of relevance in the league and in general. So I just, as great as Bijan is, I mean, he could certainly try and trade out here for someone that is craving Bijan, but I think if he's looking for a quarterback, he takes the highest ceiling guy with a floor that is likely also higher than all the other quarterbacks coming out of this his rushing ability.
Not to mention the pick he has in the 6th.
Yeah,
the 6th
yeah,
pick.
and that's 6.
That makes it a lot easier for him to make that choice.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get some live edits to the order here because I want to let owners who are here make their own picks, unless those want to get another opinion on who they should be going with there.
Bill, please pick for me.
Doesn't want to reveal inside info. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be sharing my hand.
All right, fair enough.
Every fine. If you fall, you fall.
Remember, RJ, this is a mock draft. You don't need to break your finger on this one.
On the Lions pick.
Yeah.
Lion.
Well, I mean, the Lions roster is pretty much wide open. He can go with best player available if he really wanted to. Probably not the best use of the third pick. All right, we're gonna go with another undersized quarterback, Bryce Young.
Whoa!
And Saints is doing backflips because he's got a quarterback.
I am floored. I would be falling over if I was standing up. Wow.
I'm so happy this is not how it really is going to go.
I mean,
it might be.
Yeah.
This is
No
what
way. No way. If Bengals doesn't go Bijan at 1, then 102 is getting moved for a shitload.
Yeah, we said we weren't going to project trades.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but
we said we were gonna project
so
trades.
happy that I'm not going to have to watch this chaos.
no, it wouldn't be chaos. I mean, you're still taking the top 3 picks are probably just taking the best value out there as far as like what can retain value. Or I'm sorry, the 2 after Bengals. Bengals should be taking whoever is actually going to help his roster, but the other 2 should just be going quarterback because their rosters aren't complete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this meets the needs of those 3 teams. Like they need a quarterback, being a rebuilding team with a running back. Like, yes, obviously you want to try to just trade the pick, but like I'm sure Seahawks have been trying to trade Breece Hall and hasn't really found the value that he's looking for. Bijan would kind of end up finding, I think, himself in a similar conversation. I don't remember, RJ, what you sold Breece for, but I don't think it was a 101 value.
Not
I
completely.
paid him a bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a reasonable amount.
All right. Well, my pick's pretty obvious. Saints has probably been going through the offseason, if he's been thinking about it much, thinking, what the hell am I going to do with Kenny Pickett and having a quarterback, one of the top 3 quarterbacks as well? In this case, he gets Bijan Robinson instead. So he does break his finger. So I don't know if it's a doctor in the house, but can you head over to the Saints house because he does. He's in need some medical attention. Again, 101 should be no-brainer 101, even in our format, as far as I'm concerned. So getting him at 4, like you said, Broncos, thank God we don't have to watch this actually happen.
Yep. I still think Bengals is going to take him, especially if there's no news on Tannehill.
The way that Chris takes him is if he moves another piece to secure himself quarterback points for the year. That doesn't necessarily have to happen pre-draft, but that would be a consequence of if he was.
So again, to shift gears over to the real NFL, I think one of the trades that's just kind of bound to happen, and I think you guys may have teased it last week as we were talking through it, is Trey Lance to the Titans. Just it makes too much sense not to happen.
I think we're going to send Kirk to the Niners.
So no, I mean well, look, their new GM is part of the Niners organization and scouted Lance when we drafted him as part of the group that picked him 3 overall. They need a quarterback, and at 11, they're not going to get one that they realistically like. So, move 11, get Lance. Add a escalator in there of a future pick that jumps up there. And hell, if you want to send Tannehill back to dump his contract, you could probably do that as well. And then the 49ers have Sam Darnold, Ryan Tannehill, and Brock Purdy at quarterback, which they'll feel great about.
But the Titans would have Trey Lance and Malik Willis.
And frankly, you just kind of go to the Greg Roman style of offense at that point.
No, I mean, that's what you're going to have paired with Trey Lance. You're going to have Malik Willis as the teacher, quote unquote.
No, Malik Willis isn't the teacher. Malik Willis is the backup.
No, like to teach him the offense because he's been part of it. Like I'd just rather keep Tannehill as the veteran backup at that point.
Yeah, they're not going to do it if Tannehill's not in there. But
yeah,
they'll do it without Tannehill in there. But again, I think that just ends up making too much sense not to do. So
yeah,
it's just kind of how I'm thinking about it there.
Sure.
There's a couple others that I think make too much sense, but we'll get to those when we get to those. Anyways, you're up, Bill.
JSN.
Wide receiver 1 going to a team who has a quarterback already and
Nothing
now
else.
another elite receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Gibbs, but the argument earlier was made pretty handily about running back isn't where you invest if you're terrible, and JSN is going to be the better choice.
I concur.
All right, moving on along. Texans, you're back up for the Seahawks here.
All right. With the Seahawks taking AR beforehand, I think that makes it pretty easy. As we said before, let's see. Maybe not as easy as I thought. No, I think this will have to do with the landing spot. So it's probably going to go Gibbs there.
Yep.
Giving him the 1-2 punch with Brees and Gibbs.
That's surprising.
Yeah, I would take a receiver there.
Yep.
I've got Gibbs there also. I think
I agree with the like ordering of players, but just like a fit, as I said, like taking a running back at 2 didn't make sense. I don't know if it makes sense at 6, given he has Hall and has no receivers, and he needs a longer time horizon to build up his team a bit.
Right.
Yeah, like we said last week, landing spot's going to affect a lot of this, but I don't know landing spot. I think Gibbs at 6 is the right move.
It's just I think again without landing spot, there's such a big gap between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, and who that wide receiver 2 is.
Well, I mean, it's dealer's choice at that point.
Yeah.
It's what do you like?
All right.
All right, Giants, pick for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I was really hoping Gibbs would fall here. If I'm Cowboys, running back is definitely the position I want to look at this pick. That being said, I think I would. I mean, these receivers it's all going to depend on landing spot. So I would just probably take whichever of the receivers I like best over the UCLA kid.
Charbonnet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's the running back I would be thinking of. Probably Quentin Johnson. I guess we'll say him.
Okay. Johnson.
So, and just the thinking there is like he has a lot of wide receivers, but like it's Adams and I guess Claypool as like obviously Adams top tier. Claypool is a hot topic to debate, but I still think wide receiver 2 like is a need.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, RJ, who are you taking for the Texans?
Probably Jordan Addison. Just gonna add another long-term play. There's gonna be a lot of wide receivers taken by me in this because I think they're the best long-term plays in this draft.
Makes some sense. All right, I'm up, and while we're waiting for the GMs to actually log and do things, we'll reveal the pending trade that's coming here. I am acquiring the 9th pick. So I will.
Our commissioners haven't actively completed this trade already?
No.
They have not.
In a couple hours, and it looks like Chris has been online, so probably doing other work stuff, but shame. That's why we need trades are.
You just got another delay on that.
Oh, I'm sure I did. But anyways, I agree with what you guys are saying. Landing spot's going to play a huge role in terms of who's going X, Y, and Z here. So I'm going to go Zay Flowers as one of those guys I feel is in this next tier based off of landing spot, but continue the receiver run. So then it's Jets, Steelers, and Lions next. All right. So while I continue to build this out, Bill, who are you thinking at 10?
Jets needs a quarterback, so we're going to go Will Levis. Well, perhaps. I mean, he definitely has to drop one of his 3 currently, but Will Levis by draft time.
It's spicy.
Well, I mean, frankly, there's rumors
Mason-
that's where
Mason
Levis is going
10.
to go.
You know, he can go anywhere. He doesn't need a receiver.
How many quarterbacks can we get in this first round?
I think we got one more.
Maybe stretch it to 2.
We'll see.
Kid from Stanford's half decent. He'll be a backup somewhere.
All right, we're coming back around here. So Texans up for the Steelers.
So I think with that pick, it completely shattered the Steelers' hopes and dreams with their current roster. Mac Jones
isn't the answer.
I really think that if that's the case, he trades out of this. In that case, he doesn't. He's got a lot of holes in a lot of places, but I'm probably going to go wide receiver with Josh Downs. I think Downs is one of the most safety landing spot safe teams.
That is an interesting pick, given the names are still there. But
I like Downs.
Downs is in the conversation for sure. Yeah.
All right, moving on to the Lions. Got Bryce Young at 3. Giants, what are you doing for him at 12?
Yeah, I think he goes running back here. I'm going to go with Charbonnet. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But I think he's got a decent wide receiver room. Is also the range that I was starting to maybe think defensive end, but I think the tier of Charbonnet is still higher than where I would start maybe considering the top D end.
You're probably right at that cusp here. Not to lead the witness, but RJ, let's hear the next receiver.
Yeah, no, you can't go wide receiver here just because Anderson fell this far. He shouldn't have fallen out of the top 10. So Jets just takes advantage of that.
Well, I mean, he overinvested at the edge position, having to spend $20 million on backup 49ers DNs, I think. So, he needs cheaper help there. And 13th pick, Will Anderson's not a bad way to get it.
It's not bad, but I think he really probably needs to take a running back here.
Mm-hmm.
He's got pick 20 where he can maybe Will Anderson will fall a little bit further. Probably not with us drafting.
All the first round running backs plus one have been taken already.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think there's more than 2.
I drafted Javonte Williams at pick 12 or 13 a couple years ago. So I think there's still possibility for some high-end running back points here. And if you look at that part of his roster, unless Leonard Fournette finds a home, he's got minimal points at that position.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see it in the running backs that are left in the available players.
I can't wait to watch this be a non-factor because he's going to go top 10 regardless.
Who?
Will
That
Anderson.
is not the spirit of this exercise.
We're just discussing running backs. I think there's only 2 that are worth drafting in the first round of our draft, and I think everybody else, unless there's an amazing landing spot in the NFL draft, I don't think any of the other players are worthy of drafting in the first round.
In the entire first round of our
Yeah, I in 5 years I don't want to pay any of those names that 5th year option.
Well, you don't have to.
I'm
let
just
them
saying,
walk
like,
for a comp pick, but
this is true. But I don't see any of them being worth a 5th or a first round pick. Even
look,
like
rookie,
a year or 2 out.
Rookie running
other
backs,
than the
just
first
like in real life in this league, their value is in their first contract.
Yep.
You're looking for 4 years of points at this position. That is, you're still an incredible. You need at least one starter. I don't know. Will Anderson is obviously like the right player. I think he's the best player on the board.
Right.
But
Let's see what falls to 20.
yeah, let's see what falls 20. That's true. Spent a lot of time on Jets pick here. Good thing he traded a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think Pats is going to move off this, but still, I like the idea that Panthers had, that he's going to go for guys who take a little bit longer to develop. So taking a tight end here makes some sense because he's not going to score a lot of points this year. But this probably feels like the right spot for him to come off the board. I would also think maybe Tyree Wilson could make some sense here because I've heard NFL folks, some have him above Anderson on their board. I don't agree, but if we're talking the same range, but by the time he's going to be scoring, it's going to be end of year and DE is going to be less scarce than it is right now. So it just seems like take Mayer. Had a couple other ideas here, but I'll wait. I think he'll wait till 18 to pull the trigger on some of those.
Interesting. All right, so I have Titans, right?
Yep.
So probably a bit off the wall, probably a bit accurate. I'm going to go with probably the Kirk Cousins replacement, Hendon Hooker.
Wow.
I was debating him at 14. And again, it felt too early. But
He's going to sit this entire year, no matter where he goes, at minimum. So it makes sense for Pats.
Again, we'll see. Because, he's what? Isn't he already like 26?
He's 25.
Yeah. Which, that's pretty old for a rookie.
Yeah. It turned out great for the Browns when – who was it that they drafted from Oklahoma?
Oh, God.
Brandon Weeden.
Oh, man.
And he was 29.
He's not 29.
When they drafted, was he not 29?
No, he was 25 or 26. He just looked 30 years old.
Well, that's fair. Speaking of 30, Sammy Watkins finally turned 30.
Hey, maybe he'll break out next year.
Go figure. Felt like he's been 30 forever.
All right. Well, you officially sniped the 49ers, who were desperately hoping to get a quarterback at that pick. But Smooth Talk, what do you think he does instead?
I've never seen so many backups, offensive backups. He's really hurting in all areas, but I think he goes Tyreek Wilson right here is the safest play for him.
I wouldn't be shocked if he's fallen in love with a quarterback and goes that direction instead. But
there's none left unless it's like
yeah.
Tanner McKee.
the names at quarterback that are first rounders in this league better stop at Hendon.
No, man, there's still 3 good ones out there.
Yep.
We'll get him at 201.
I might.
Oh, man. No, I don't know.
Giants, Chargers.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up their roster real quick. I'm fairly confident I'm taking a DE here. But
Jalen Carter.
I don't know. I think
DE makes sense.
I think I'd go Nolan Smith.
Holy shit.
Going edge, 4.4 speed.
Yeah.
Isn't he coming off like a torn Achilles or something? What was he out last year for?
Not sure. But just ran 4.4 at the combine, right? So seems okay.
No, he's great. Wasn't expecting to hear that name. It's all.
So I probably shouldn't take Dorian Thompson-Robinson with this pick, right?
You won't do it.
The real life undrafted free agent to be.
That's rude. He's gonna go pretty high, I think. Who are the best wide receivers available? Zay Flowers already went. All right.
Did Zay Flowers go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm 9.
Giants is right. We're going Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. If I didn't go Nolan Smith.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's Mr. Deep Threat, Mr. Speed Demon. So there's always going to be one in each class. It's a question of, is he John Ross or is he, better?
I like that he's 6 foot. Like he's a lot more built for like a game that can transition into more than just a handful of targets a game. Like, it's not unreasonable for him to put on 15 pounds and like start to be a wide receiver that's consistently targeted in an offense.
Yeah, and in best ball, I mean, deep threat is not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, there are plenty of good wide receivers that have entered the league as pretty much just deep threats and just slowly evolved their game.
I know.
All right.
Titans.
Again, needs a lot of different things. The question here is, do you go for a prospect that's going to take a while or one that could potentially pop and get you surplus value? For now, I'll go with the longer. Yeah. You know what? Why not? I'm going to go Zach Evans.
Yeah.
That's cool. Who else were you thinking about?
I mean, there's obviously some prospects taking a little bit longer and some pieces that are going to become scarcer after this year that I'm thinking about here. But I don't want to – I'd say a couple of receivers that make sense. But, kind of like a lot of things, I want to see landing spot. I think a second or third round landing spot, move them up the board to this pick. There's a couple tight ends that I think make some good sense. A smorgasbord of whatever you like best at edge. So again, I think Evans's talent is going to catch people, and he ran well enough. Again, he didn't run the 4.4 you need to be, fast and big. So he's looking a little bit, smaller and slower, which is not what you want to be doing. But someone's going to see the 5-star prospect. Someone's going to see the, yards per carry at Ole Miss this year. Someone's going to see the high school tape and say, kind of like George Pickens was that 5-star receiver that never really got the right shake at Georgia outside of his freshman year. Someone's going to take a shot on him.
Well, to continue the trend of future, I'm going to go, with potential immediate impact. The Jets has a need for this, and I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid.
That's what I had mocked to Titans, but I figure, mix it up a little bit, try some different things.
All right, Sean.
All right. Ravens they're pretty good in wide receiver, decently with a 1, 2, and 3. They're okay in quarterback, so I think they're going to go and fill out their need at running back behind Pacheco with Sean Tucker. It's definitely going to be between him and a chain. I think it all depends on the landing spot right there, but definitely I think Sean Tucker is the better prospect.
Yeah, and I think the guy you were debating on is who I would go with next for the Saints. They need a running back.
Sense? All right, Flackens back to back.
Okay. What do they even have? This team's terrible, right?
Well, it has no cap space until it moves something. So I guess it's a question of what do you think he's going to move off of?
Looks like he might need a Tanner McKee. He doesn't have a quarterback for this year.
No, that's not true. He's probably going to be back around week 8.
That's basically that's pointless for fantasy.
Well, in this league, because you're going to have your 4 double headers your first 4 weeks, and then 3 more weeks. So you're going to be 11 games into the season without a quarterback. So if you don't have one already, you're kind of hosed. Unless you think that the rest of the team is going to carry you, which they might. But NFC South is a lot tougher.
Not against his division, yeah.
So this is I'm not going to take it, but I think this is one of those strange teams that might consider doing something crazy like taking a defensive tackle in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would be better used with like the 24th pick rather than their first pick. I doesn't really make much of a difference.
Geez, way to leave the witness.
Who's the top linebacker this year? Is it Drew Sanders?
I mean, depending on who you consider, but the top 5 that I'm reading, Drew Sanders, why is Nolan Smith listed as a linebacker? Drew Sanders, Trenton Simpson, Jack Campbell, and Henry To'o.
I mean, like, I think that's the only position that's that defensive end. I don't.
He doesn't need either one.
Doesn't need anything. I'm taking a wide receiver. We're going Cedric Tillman.
God damn it.
I like that pick.
That's exactly what I was going to take for him.
Yeah.
So
I like Tillman. Yeah.
Well, now you can take Jalen Carter with the 24th, like RJ said.
Well, stop burying the lead, damn it. Let me not play on picks, Bill. God. Yeah, I love Carter. I love the fact that he's not taking any visits outside the top 10 of the draft. He's, I think, one of those. There's 2 or 3 elite pieces coming out of this draft. Again, a couple of those draft like that he's going to figure it out at the pro level, and that's going to be Carter. So I think he's bound to either be a Seahawk or a Bear, and in either of those defenses, he's just gonna feast. So. Folks like to look at, asking for seconds for paying Quinnen Williams $14 million or things like that. Getting that at the 24th pick in the right defense for a deep discount's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that position is going to start to get more expensive with the change of true position.
What, linebacker?
No, defensive tackle.
Tackle.
Yeah.
Oh, so I shouldn't have traded Quinn Williams last week.
We shall see. All right, on to the loins.
All right. So what have they taken so far? What have we given them?
Lions have taken Charbonnet and Bryce Young.
Okay.
Sounds like he needs a safety.
Booyah.
So he could use literally any position right now. I am gonna go ahead. See, like I'm assuming he's gonna go 100% offense, more than likely. But I think this is a great place for either Tyree Wilson or Van Ness.
Wilson already went.
Wilson's gone, so let's go with Luke Van Ness.
I love how we logic ourselves into things. We think he's going to go offense, so we're going to give him an edge.
Well, I can't think of another name to give him there, and he needs everything, so go BPA.
I think Murphy's the other DN that's coming.
Miles Murphy, yeah.
Yep.
But I think Lucas Van Ness is good, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
all gonna depend
honestly,
on
I talk about that too. I think Van Ness is going to be a beast in. If he goes in the right system, he's going to be an absolute nightmare. If he goes the wrong system, he's going to be a dud.
All right, Sean.
All right. Who did we have the Jets taking at 10?
Jets took Will Levis at 10. Took
Dalton Kincaid.
Will Anderson at 13. Took Dalton Kincaid at 20.
I think he's going to go take care of his. I think he's a linebacker, right? Drew Sanders.
Yep.
Linebacker.
Concur. All right. Going back to Pats. Giants.
Yeah, I hate that you took the tight end earlier because this is where I really want Darnell Washington. But I don't think he doubles up on tight ends because that would be absurd. So
everything he does is absurd.
yeah, well, okay.
Sounds like he doubles up on tight end for the pod.
Yeah, it sounds like
No,
it
I'm
to me
not
too.
going to have him because that's just going to become the trash of this reaction to this. I'll probably take the best remaining D end, Miles Murphy.
I know I spelled it wrong. Give me a second.
So good.
All right, Bears on the clock with their first pick in this draft with a couple of needs. What are we thinking, RJ?
Oh, well, one of the most glaring needs that they have is wide receiver. How convenient. Are there any of those left? How many wide receivers have been taken? Scroll up a little bit for me.
I think we're at 5.
JSN, Quentin, Addison, Flowers, Downs, Hyatt, Tillman. So I think that's 7.
So then that is
Mims.
Yeah, that leaves you with a very
guy.
no. You guys. So
You guys are
have to,
missing big one. That's a big one out there.
you guys have to let Mims go to the Pats because it's the only Marvin Jr. he's going to get over the next 2 years.
Now, when you said big one, are you talking in size or in name?
No, he's talking Mr. Lazy Routes. And that's who we're going right now.
Yep.
Booty.
I don't know what that sound was, but good enough.
Yeah, Mike, I'm actually going Booty with that pick.
Oh, God.
I think Booty's gonna. I think he's gonna end up getting a great spot, and he's gonna end up being a huge piece in someone's offense. Just something just tells me.
Yeah, he's again, he's that next 5-star guy. Broke out as a freshman, who's going to be, he was either blocked or sucked at LSU, and now is going to slip to like the second or third round, and someone's going to take a shot on him.
He screams that character that's going to remember every guy that was chosen before him, and that's going to be his chip on the shoulder for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I want to say he's this year's Pickens, but the problem is Pickens does it a hell of a lot better than Booty did.
All right.
I'm kind of out on him at this point. I see him as very much like a Mike Thomas type of trajectory, like going to have one
Like
or
the
two.
Bengals, Michael Thomas.
No, like Michael Thomas. Like we're gonna go, wow, this kid's really talented, and then he's gonna get a lot of money, and I don't know, he's gonna get injured, and some things are gonna get questionable, and he's just not gonna put any effort into getting himself back on the field.
Fair enough.
Like he once he makes it to the league, he's not going to make a huge effort. But he's certainly worth the 28th pick because if he hits, he's going to hit probably better than most of the wide receivers in this class.
Yep.
This is true. All right. So I've got the Commanders here. They decide to trade all their players away on this pick since they have control of the franchise. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Except.
I'm torn because he has a need, but again, this necessarily makes it draft rate. You know what? I'm just going to keep it simple. Trenton Simpson. He needs as much defense as he can get at every position he can get it. Linebacker is going to become scarce. I like Simpson a lot. I think that's who he goes with.
Fair enough. All right. So, Brandon, what are you thinking? Offense or defense here?
At this point, with like who's off the board, I'm probably thinking offense.
Defense it is. Not Campbell.
Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
I can promise you that will not be the pick.
Put it in pen. I love it.
It is today.
Bold. All right. Texans, take us home.
He needs everything. However, he absolutely has no tight end whatsoever. So I think he goes.
He took Mayer.
Oh, here he took my
Double up. You know he's going to double up.
Just
do it. Spears, give it to him.
Gross.
Who's he taking?
Tajay Spears. He did last a lot longer than I thought he would, though.
Packers is taking Darnell Washington.
I love it. Here we go.
The fact that Mims is
There
still
you
there
go.
is a question mark, but yeah.
All right, and that's a live mock draft. Well done, everybody.
All right, let's do it again now with Robinson going first, and the whole thing.
Maybe next week, but definitely some curveballs in there that I don't think people were expecting, and that's sometimes a good thing to do is look at where the curveballs are going to come and what that means for where you are at your spot, and if you're interested in trading or interested in kind of what that value might be, this stuff like this serves as a good exercise. So I appreciate you guys joining in on that. I think it was a good bit of content. So let's move over to the fun part of the pod as well, trades. So let's see here. We potted on.
I'm pretty sure Quinnen Williams was the first trade after the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we potted on Wednesday, and then everything got processed on Thursday. So there's some reverses. So I think 5 or 6 trades here, basically. And I'm in almost all of them. So I'll introduce them, and I'll kind of leave it out there for others to comment on. First was picking up an OD tackle from Eagles, Carlos Dunlap, and the Broncos second and Broncos third next year for Quinnen Williams with the Eagles. So throwing it out there, what do people think?
All I can say is I hope we don't have to start 2 D tackles next year.
I do.
personally support this trade.
No way.
I get a little bit more draft capital for next year, and I don't
the cap
have
space
to.
relief on its own is worth it.
Yeah.
I know you don't care about it this year, but
I mean the 203 and the 303, right? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Joe decides to tear his team down the offseason.
you know what? I want to go back and give him a corner. Give him fucking Devin Witherspoon.
And I get Carlos Dunlap, who is apparently always productive.
Isn't he still unemployed?
He is, but he signed late last year too. I expect RJ will be able to somehow flip him for a third to a contender next year after he signs somewhere in training camp.
Yeah, I think it was a good time to get out, and solely because at some point he's going to hit 21, 22 million, somewhere in there. It's going to be impossible to trade him this year because of the salary cap. Nobody's going to have the room for him. And you just have to eat the points, and that's not what you want to do.
Yep.
I mean, as soon as folks start getting injured, this cap space opens up real quick.
So,
All right. So we're going to skip the next 2 because it was a trade in a reverse because Panthers had already agreed to a trade with one of the pieces. But it was a big one post-pod last week. I pick up DK Metcalf, Isaiah Buggs, Trevon Diggs, Jacoby Durant, and the 424 and a result. The Panthers goes from DK Metcalf to Marquise Brown, picks up Derek Brown in the trade, Xavier Woods, and the 205, and moving his 424 to a 312. So a lot of pieces moving around there. Thoughts?
I like his side better. Like all in all, I mean, obviously you got the best piece in DK, but I like his side better as a whole.
I
I
think
think it
he
was
got
fine.
really good value out of DK. I think he paid a lot more for DK, if I remember correctly, than what he seems to just sold for. Although I do really like Derek Brown.
Yeah, I do too.
a fine
But he's
move.
going to be trade extended, and it's off his rookie deal, so that's not going to be cheap.
No.
I mean, Marquise Brown got traded for like pick 24, 25.
No, it ended up being like 117.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It was the Cardinals. It was the Cardinals first.
Okay. So it was like
What was that
117, 205 for Metcalf. I can't remember. I think it was 2 firsts and a second or a third is what he paid for Metcalf. So I don't know.
It works out for both sides.
Yeah.
Yep. Everyone's happy.
And I think Panthers would be pissed if we didn't mention the fact that it also screwed over the tax declaim attempt from the Bucks.
Yes. Key portion.
Literally was the impetus for this entire thing.
Yep. It's like, how can I trade this corner? I got to attach DK Metcalf. All right, let's go.
DK is the price. All right. Well, sometimes you got to pay those.
Sometimes that's how that works. All right, and the trade that caused the first one to have to get reversed was agreed to first, but got processed out of order. Charles Harris for the 322. Harris looks like he's in line to be either starting or in a key part of the rotation for the Lions DNs this year. So 322 is a cheap price to pay for that.
This is Jags having like 12 defensive ends and selling them off cheap because he doesn't want all of them.
Problem.
I don't know if it's like I don't think Charles Harris is particularly impressive. But
No, at worst, he will stay employed and
Right.
slightly productive. At best, he will be one of the more productive guys in the rotation.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
warrants
he's probably a 5 or 6 sack guy. He sees 40 to 50 snaps.
and he's only $5 million. It's a reasonable price for a 5 sack. You know, $1 million per sack is not horrible.
Right.
No, not at all. Then my next one here, I will explain logic here a little bit. Again, I'm a 49er homer, so nobody's shocked that I'm trying to go get Trey Lance. Pick up Trey Lance and Brock Wright for Sam Howell, 117, and the Bengals second next year. My real impetus for this is thinking about this. If Snyder maintains ownership of the Commanders, I think Sam Howell has a legit shot to start for the Commanders. With 2 offers coming in and a vote on the sale coming in May, I think there's a legit chance that if Lamar doesn't get traded in the draft, what happens anytime a new owner takes over a team is they want to make a big splashy move to show everybody this is my team. Again, think, the Suns with Kevin Durant. There's numerous examples in recent sports history where a new owner comes in and wants to make the big splashy trade or go get the big shiny object that's on the market. And the biggest, shiniest item on the market right now is Lamar Jackson, which makes me concerned about what happens with Sam Howell next year. So with that in mind, I'm trying to get out now. Folks know I try and get out early rather than later. Maybe I get paid. Maybe Trey Lance ends up on a bench someplace, and this looks really stupid. But folks know I like to be the first mover.
It's a risk to take on a guy who has a more likely future as a starter than another. I mean, that's all this is. They both have just as much odds of being backups as they do starters right now.
I think draft pedigree still pays it's still a big value point in the NFL in real life. I think it's more likely that like Trey Lance will get a starting gig versus Howell once the Commanders are sold. And then for perspective, who did we just draft at 17?
Hendon Hooker.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So Hooker.
I'm sorry. Who did we just? No, Hooker was a different one. We drafted.
Are you talking about in our draft last year?
No, in the mock we just
in
did.
the mock draft.
Yeah, we just drafted Nolan Smith.
It was like Hendon Hooker around like between 15 and 20.
So, yeah, he said it was Nolan Smith. So yeah, Nolan Smith and Howell plus a future second for Trey Lance. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I know we talked about this post pod, and we kind of floated the idea of like, all right, Howell in 17, and see what happens. You get Brock Wright back too, who like could be the starting tight end in Detroit. I think everyone assumes they're going to draft someone, but that was also a position of need, I think, for you still. I think like the future second is like a little rich maybe for like the risk of just either piece, but I also think you're a 49ers fan, and I mean they traded 3 first-round picks for Lance. Like they're not ruling him out as being able to win the job. I think it's a fair play. You still have Ritter too, so you kind of are insulated from some of that risk at the quarterback position.
I think Lance is a starter there. I think that it sounds really good while Brock Purdy's injured right now to say like, oh yeah, he'll be the guy when he comes back. And then they fully expect Trey Lance to just play well enough because he was playing decent enough before he got injured to just go, why change it?
Yeah, and I think we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the pod or post pod, but like Purdy always had like an arm strength issue, and now he has an injury that impacts arm strength. So there's that concern too that like he might just have backup arm. If he nearly had backup arm anyways, so it might just be kind of cemented in what his reality could be going forward.
I mean, it still doesn't change that he showed that he's good enough to play in the NFL. It's just for an extended period of time, I don't know, and like at what capacity will he be like for like career long?
Yeah,
but like we know that he can competently like start an NFL game and provide a team a win, and San Francisco is probably just going to hold on to him for a while because of that, and then try to still figure out ideally a franchise quarterback situation. I think they still view Lance like that.
I expect the 49ers to have the deepest quarterback room in the league for as long as Kyle Shanahan is.
Yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't. Look at how many years they've had multiple quarterback injuries. Like it wasn't just last year. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, it's every year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my gut, as I said earlier in the pod, is I think they'll move Lance during the draft if they can get like a first rounder and like something for it, and then especially if it helps the position of need, and then use one of their late round picks if they have. I think 3/3, a bunch of later round picks to go with like the guy from Purdue or a couple of the others that are going to slip to day 2 or day 3. And just they've taken a quarterback in the first round every single year, day 3 guy. So I think they'll continue that trend. And even if it's like a 7th rounder that they plan on cutting, like they had with Purdy, who knows if you hit another Brock Purdy.
If it's a kid from UCLA, watch out. He's going to take over.
It's funny how 6 months ago this trade would have been like, what the. It would have been a huge rager, I think, in chat.
Yeah.
But it's how quick things can change.
I mean, when you were basically like mapping out what the 117 is, like that's kind of my reaction to that. Is like no possible way is whoever you guys just said a second round pick and Sam Howell worth even like Trey Lance with 1 foot.
Yeah, it was Nolan Smith, future second, and yeah, Howell.
Yeah,
But I think that says more to what your perspective on Howell is. But like, if you are on the Bill side of things, where you're like, he's a starter this year, and they don't currently have Lamar Jackson, so like, we can't just assume they're going to get him. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm assuming that Sam Howell gets like the nod, at least gets an opportunity, starts a minimum of 10 games. But I think like a quarterback that, you know, there's still a question mark to like if he's the long-term answer. Any random piece in the first round that isn't like one of the premier players and then a second round pick, that doesn't sound like it's necessarily worth a somebody with the draft capital of Trey Lance.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to mention with Lance is, 2 of his cheap years are gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If he ends up the backup someplace and gets moved next year, you're literally getting him in his prove-it year. So,
if he moves anywhere, everything completely changes. His value completely falls apart.
I think, except for the scenario that Mike mentioned, if the Titans were to trade for him.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple ideas, but that can be post-pod where I go full homer on everybody.
Yeah, but that was the staff that drafted him.
Some defensive tackles got traded in a 3rd-round pick. All right, cut the pod off, and we'll talk about other things.
Yep. So, yeah, Derek Brown getting flipped for Austin Johnson and a 3rd. Johnson at less than $500,000, so it's a little bit of a cap savings for the Panthers. But, the big thing is just kind of swapping that for a 3rd at a position that's not necessarily premier in our league. So about an hour. Thanks, guys, for joining the live pod. Like I said, I'll post the link to the draft tab on the league site. But enjoy, and on to the post pod.
We'll catch you up on how Vikings got 109 next week.